Greetings. Today we're going to talk about something. Now, I'm going to cover a few things. I haven't actually recorded an episode in a little while, probably 2 or 3 days. I've been kind of off coding recently, which is why the episodes of the whole every series is going to be a bit slow. And that's why there's been a lot more Darkest Dungeon stuff like that. I've just been quite sick, and I'm having a kind of a cure pill tomorrow that's going to make me quite sick, because it targets both bad cells and good cells. It kind of does. In the killing process, killing bad cells just kills good cells, meaning I'm going to be incredibly sick tomorrow. It's kind of like a mini chemo. That's probably the best way to explain it. And so with this, it means that for me to record, not tomorrow, I was thinking it's Saturday, it's Sunday, so the day after tomorrow. The 29th, whatever day that is for you. But it's 29th for you, regardless. Right. So it means that this episode's probably gonna come up tomorrow, right? So tomorrow, this episode's probably gonna come up, so me seeing tomorrow, I'm probably gonna be sick. Now on the day I'm gonna be sick, there should be a video, but I don't know how sick I will be. I know I probably will be fine. I may even be fine enough to record one in the late afternoon. I don't actually know. I've never had this before. I've heard from the doctor and from everyone else it's a very harsh thing. It's quite painful and stuff. There's a few things that we worked on this. We worked on this whole idea of item sets. But I felt that we're kind of missing something. So what I decided to do was I decided to because what happened is, if we actually look here, right, we can set it to parents. Where is it? There we go. If we have a look, under shop, okay, so we had 2 ones here. We had recommended and non-recommended. If we go to recommended, we see this, and if we go to items, we see this. But recommended, we want to see a bit more, or a bit different. And this scroll bar actually doesn't work for this, right? It just doesn't work. Recommended, which we may want it to, right? We want it to work for whatever. So there's a few things that we do have to change. But making this, it means the scroll bar will disappear. And guess what we can do? We can add the scroll bar here. Now we need another scroll rect, and then we need the rect transform to be recommended. We only want it vertically. We want it clamped, which means that it will be clamped, obviously. Right? I don't know how else I'm going to explain that. And the scroll bar is actually just going to be the first one here. Now what you will see is you'll see no difference, but when we get recommended, we can move these up and down. But what we also want is we want the option to have like a box kind of thing. So we're going to build a prefab under here. So we're going to just go recommended, and we're going to add a quick item to recommended, just to make it look good. And the type box, we're going to turn it off just for a second. So this is what the item looks like right now, under recommended. So what do we want to do? Well, we actually don't want to do this whole grid layout thing. What we actually want to do is we want to do a horizontal layout. Now, I'm going to explain this in a second. So, we're actually going to have a new game object. Actually, I think I'm going to use a UI. And this is just going to be probably a panel. And we're not going to be using the grid layout on this, so we can just remove component. And this is basically going to be it, right? The idea of this is that about this big. So wherever this big, along like 12 maybe? Maybe 115, 116. How about we just do 116? Alright, this is going to be a panel, and so this panel will be this object. This panel will contain a horizontal layer group, as you can see. Inside this item, it will have a few things. Before I do this whole horizontal thing, there's a few things I do need to do. Both the image and the text are both going to have a layer element. Really? A layer element, and they're going to say ignore layout. So now when we add the horizontal layer, you see that, oh, this may just be normal, right? I can't, for some reason it's turning off, probably because they've got this layer element. So wait, if I turn this off for a second, and I make this shop thing, panel, because it'll create basically a new one. We get this here. This is what we want. So what we're actually going to do is we're actually going to set it to recommended. And the recommended, we're going to have a little script called child script. Child script. This is basically going to go through our children and check what we wanted to check. Basically, right? So we're going to have a... Basically, how about you start with an update? In this update, we're going to go for each transform child this.transform. So basically for our children, this is where you want to do something. This is basically where we're going to go, well, we want to get your set. So when we do this, what we actually do is we actually have a shop set of recommended. Pretty simple. But do we actually track the wait, we have a script called cow. That's weird. Could put this in here. If we look at our inventory system, let me do that. I just had to add an extra empty item. That was a good way of doing it. So if we look at this, we actually don't check if it's in a set. Right? Should we? I think we really need to. I think if we have a list of sets, do we really need to? Because what we're really going to do is, since as you see, we're just kind of gonna get the name of that set. So as you see, when we're doing our setup, which is here, yeah, we're actually gonna say, hey, well, this item, which each of the parent 2, we're gonna get a component. We're gonna say organize your children, and we're gonna give it a string. So not only are we gonna build it, which we'll build it this. Oh, I've got a really good idea. I like this. Yeah, I like this more. Stupid child thing that I don't think will work. So I'm gonna try something else. It's snazzy. I'm going to use the same idea as the child script, but I'm going to do it on the shop database. So the thing is, this is fine, but what we also want to do is we also want to actually, this parent here is wrong. So we actually want to have a class, not class, a void, which isn't going to be a void, it's going to be a vector transform. So basically it's going to turn transform, and we're going to call this get next panel. Alright? It's essentially going to create a panel and then give it to us. Essentially. So it's going to go, it's going to go, well, we need a name for it. Basically, right? So each one of these panels will have a few things. These panels will not only will they have an item in them, they will also have a little text component. Only one graphic. Well, we kind of need it, so I guess we could just have a UI text. Then give it a layout. Say, hey, you're annoying that. And now that we can change this, basically all you really want to do is we just kind of want to center it. And we essentially want to center this text, and we just want to call it whatever we want to call it, obviously. And we want to make sure it aligns properly. So it's this. Now, this is kind of how it's going to work. So, but if we add an item in here, you'll see that there's a slight problem. This takes through this nice little text. Very simple. We put this text at the bottom, it's still going to happen. Why is that? It's because we're actually expanding. I'm surprised this item has not expanded. That's very cool. Okay, so because of how this item works, it's actually very big. It's basically covering the whole screen. So if you click anywhere here, it will activate that item, which is kind of cool. I like that right now. But what we actually also want to do is we want to maybe call this panel 0. It doesn't really matter. Does it really? No, not really. Because it's not, I'd say, never going to constantly run. See here, we're just running it over once. Well, I mean, every time we're updating, we should be running this. And you kind of want to do the same thing here, actually. Because we kind of want to destroy all the panels, basically. So we do require a string for the for like the maybe panel text. But basically here we're not going to expand the height. Or we are. Yeah, I think we are. But what we're actually going to do is we're actually going to, under here, you can go layout element, and go preferred height, like I know. Then the thing is, there's a slight problem here that you can see. By extending this height, it looks fine, right? You can't get this effect. There's a simple thing we can do. You can make it expand high, but then we can lower it down for the text. We can make the panel. See how that panel does that weird effect? But the problem is here, obviously you can't extend this. I mean, that's it. This is why I don't like the whole thing. I've got an idea that we can do. That would work perfectly, okay. So what we do is get a single padding. Top, add 10. Maybe 15. See? Perfect. Just nice little padding. Now, I'm going to put panel 0 in here. I'm going to have a static variable, which we just can kind of keep off. A static integer, which is just basically going to be called panel count. And if we're going to refresh our window, we might as well say, oh, well, panel count is equal to 0. Huh. And then here we're going to say, well, you got to give us some text, right, to say what we're going to say, right? Simple. And it's not liking this for some reason. Guys, you gotta give us some text, and then from there we'll return a transform. We'll basically create new objects. So we go actually no, game object go is equal to new game object. Oh, that's gonna be a new one. We want instantiate prefab, and we have to go find this prefab. D gets a game object. Okay, I think it's prefab 3. Prefab panel. There we go, that's all working. This is gonna basically create a new object, create a new one of those panels. Now we actually gotta set the parents. We go dot set parent. Oh no, this is what this is gonna be doing. No, we actually gotta set the panel. So we go dot set parent as transform to. Let's go like parent to. There you go. And now what this means is that we're setting as parent 2, and then what we're going to see is we're going to go dot name is equal to panel with capital plus the panel count, so 0 and so on, and then we go panel count plus. Then we go, hey, we'll return go dot transform. So we actually get a transform for the object. And then what we also want to say is well, go dot get component in children, right? So we're going to get component in children, go text, and we're going to go dot get to text, and we want to access the text component, and we want to say that's equal to panel text. There we go. So now when we are updating our database, we have this one here. When we are doing this whole thing here, what we're actually going to do is this parent is actually wrong. We're basically gonna get the set item, right? So we're going through each recommended length, right? So we want to make sure the parent is equal to a corresponding recommended. So for the first one we want to have a set of parents. For the second one we want to have a set of parents. So it means that we're kind of using the same parent. So a big thing is, well, we got to go through this, and this will create the items, and then it's kind of difficult because, well, if there's 4 items under then we got to set them to the recommended length. So do we make a list of parents equal to how big recommended is, and then maybe maybe we could do that. It's just like, well, what do you really want to do? I think that's what we're going to do. I think that's the best way. I think we go like a transform. I'd have to be capital. We're gonna call this parents is equal to a new transform of like recommended dot length. We go to -1. No, we don't. And then we go, I hate this kind of thing. We go parents. Yeah, now we gotta go for each one. Dot length. You use a lot of for loops. I'm not particularly happy with this whole system, but I think right now it should work perfectly. But I know I want to change it eventually. I'm going to change a lot of this eventually, but this will work for now. So we go parents of I. So that's going to be equal to what do we call it? Get next panel. And then we're going to go, oh, that's equal to recommended of I dot name. There we go. And then now here, we are able to go to just simply parents of I. Quite simple. Well, I mean, these things are basically all next to each other, so why don't we just kind of put these into sections. So we are just gonna region up. You should definitely region your work, and we're going to call this region the recommended section. Now, why should you region everything up? Because regioning basically will kind of do the same thing as it. It's lowercase. Regioning does the same idea and same kind of thing as if I had brackets, right? So it also allows me to easily pick up code, right, and understand what it means. So this is called our normal section. And we can finish it here. It's not so necessary for this like normal section, but for the recommended section, it's quite necessary. I should be really doing a lot more commenting than I have, but right now this is gonna be fine. But I'll go. I think I can't really go over this too much, but essentially we're just creating a new object and we're just sending a bunch of data to it, really, and we're getting the name and stuff. So it should work perfectly. I'm scared it's not going to though. Okay, right? It's YOLO it. We go to move item. That's the item. Is this just the text? I'm gonna delete it, and then we're gonna go shop, and we're gonna make sure that we actually have permanent 0. Oh, what do we do this time? That's fine. Oh, that may meant to be spelled wrong. Everyone's probably like shouting at me, going, "Oh my gosh, how can you be so blind?" This is gonna be the end of this episode. Once we actually see if this works.